Today we're going to talk about the PACE plan. This plan was originally designed in the military for a communications model for a four-tier emergency plan, basically. And I've adopted it. Well, I should say the military adopted it for special forces, special operations, infantry, scouts, and just about everybody uses it now in operations plans or whatever. And at least they did in my day. And it's a great plan. It's a four-tier plan that you can use in just about anything you do in life. It works great for hunting, and I'm going to kind of go over it real quick because I noticed that I don't think many people have ever talked about this, or I haven't seen this online. Of course, I haven't really researched it, but basically, I made a primitive fifth grade poster board here. I have an old Target, and I'm going to kind of go over what I do. I got a bear hunt that I'm doing in August, and I thought I'd go over this with you and give you an idea of what the PACE plan is. So basically, the PACE plan is a four-tier plan. So you just remember the word PACE, and how that works is primary, alternative, contingency, and emergency. So basically, your primary plan is going to be your main plan that you're focusing on, your main objective that you're going to have. Then your alternative is, well, if the primary plan doesn't work out, I'll go with the alternative. If that don't work out, well, then I have a contingency. Just as the word goes, my contingency is this. And then if all else goes to rat's tail, you go with your emergency plan. So that's the E in PACE. Primary, alternative, contingency, emergency. And it's easy to remember, and so everything I do in life, I pretty much use this plan a lot of times, whether I'm fixing a car or whatever, tools I use or whatever. But not to go off on a tangent, let's talk about how you can use it just in looking at going elk hunting. So, for example, you're going to want to go elk hunting and you're not sure what state you're going to go yet. So your primary will probably be, let's say you're going to put in for Wyoming and you're hoping to get a tag in Wyoming, but you're not really sure. So you got the money, so that's your primary. Alternative, then you think, well, I'll put it for Montana also because I have a point or two there. That's my alternative. And then, well, in case that doesn't work out, my contingency will be, okay, Idaho has over-the-counter, but some of those are sold out a lot of times, but they do have some, and I could always look into my contingency being Idaho. Lately, that hasn't been the case because Idaho's been selling out, but you could use that as contingency. Now, in emergency, all else fails, you got no other options. You go to Colorado, you can buy an over-the-counter tag. They're unlimited. So that would be your PACE plan just for looking for getting you an elk tag. Now, you decide whatever, you get an elk tag. Now, you start writing your stuff down in a little logbook like this. And always keep a little logbook with you. And then once you set up your plans and you know what your three plans are going to be, or your four plans, whether it's primary, alternative, whether it's Wyoming, Montana, Idaho, Colorado. So you get maps for that area, or you go on base maps. I like to use paper maps, okay? And what you do there is, like, this would be my bear hunt map. So low mountains. So you lay your map out and you get yourself a red marker and you start with your PACE plan down here. So you start with your primary plan in that area. Your primary is going to be here, and you're going to go with P, your primary site that you're going to go to first. Now you get there and there's no bear or there's a lot of people. Then you go to your alternative site, which you notice there's a 1 by it because you're going to have several PACE plans in case there's tons of people hunting or everything washes out. And then you'll see there I have the contingency under 1 and the emergency under 1. And so if all those fail, I have a second PACE plan. And then I come up here, move to another area, and you'll see I have primary, alternative, contingency, and emergency again under 2. That's my secondary plan. And you can do this again and come up with a third, a fourth, a fifth, however many you want to do. It gives you a bunch of different options of what you can do. Had you got to your area and there's tons of hunters, there doesn't seem to be any bear in the area or elk or whatever it is you're hunting, it gives you alternatives and you've got extra plans. That's why I say you should always buy maps for the areas you're planning on when you do your original PACE plan. If you're thinking Wyoming, Montana, whatever. If you only got one state you're going to, like for me, for example, I only hunt 2 places, Idaho and Colorado, over-the-counter stuff. So I focus buying maps on those areas, and I focus on all the over-the-counter zones that I can hunt at GMUs, they call them in Colorado. And so I'll go through and I'll set up primary plans, PACE plans for each one of those. And I will have areas set up. I drive up there and there's, the cars are run down the road and, you can't get in. There's too many people hunting. So then I'll go with my alternative, my contingency, my emergency is I move to a whole nother location, or I start another PACE plan in the southern end of that. Or I go to a whole new GMU, pull out another map, and I start my secondary where I've also taken a red pen and, marked my contingency plans on there. And I do the same thing when I'm taking a map. I always use a paper map to get an overview of everything. And I take a red pen, fine line, ultra fine, and I circle all of the places where trailheads are. And why do I do that? Is I eliminate areas where people are going to be at as much as I can. And I look for other areas where there's not trailheads, rough terrain where I can get in and hunt. That's just me. But at those sites is where I make my PACE plan. So I'll start my primary, my alternative, my contingency. And they won't necessarily be at trailheads. They may be, in the middle of a road somewhere, often nowhere, no trailhead. I'm just going to walk up, up that mountain and into a ridge line or whatever. That'll be my primary. If that fails, I may have my alternative being a short distance from there. And my contingency being another short distance from there. I'll just keep walking in, looking. And that may be my, an emergency, the furthest point I can possibly, pack an elk out, which may be, 5 miles or whatever, your health is for you to pack on an elk. Your emergency might be, 5 mile limit, and that's where you set your emergency plan at. It's just a great plan, and I've used it in the military for years. And you want to have a book, and I hope I'm not rambling on about this too quickly. You want to write everything down. If you're going to do multiple tags in different states, you have to definitely have a book. Even if you're doing just 2 states like I do, have the maps for the areas you're going to go. A lot of people just use base maps, but I'm telling you, if you look at my other video, you can pull up maps for free from National Geographic. And I highly recommend that you do that because paper maps are the way to go. You get an overview of everything. I always purchase them for the area, and then I downprint the free maps, and I have them on a board that I can carry out with me out in the field. So if my battery goes dead or whatever, and I explained that in my other video, that's kind of my PACE plan with maps. With that, I have my primary being my base maps or your Onyx maps on your phone. My alternative would be, okay, that fails, and I don't have any option on that. I can pull out a map, and use a paper map. Or it could be my wife has, if she had one on her phone, we could use hers if my phone battery died and use her plan. And contingency could be a paper map and so on. You can make up your own plan as you go. This is just the way I do it, just like I do for navigation. My primary is always going to be my phone now. That I used to use compass all the time, but I always shoot an azimuth also with my compass. So I always bring a compass with me. I always have my inReach with me, and I always usually have a GPS watch. So there's all my basics. So my primary is going to be my phone for navigation. Alternative is going to be my digital watch, maybe. GPS watch, I'm stuttering here. Contingency is going to be my compass. And then emergency, of course, is going to be my inReach. And I kind of stumbled through that, but you probably get the gist of it, of what this is about. Just having a 4-tier plan to everything you do, so that you're not out there going, oh crap, we're not finding elk here. You're not married to that area. You can go somewhere else and you can find elk. Or you get there and there's tons of hunters there, and you're like, oh man, now what? I didn't plan for this. What other areas? Check other areas out, make your PACE plan, get your 4-tier plan, primary, alternative, contingency, and emergency. Have that, written down in a book. At the mere minimum, have it in your phone. Download maps on your Onyx maps, base maps, Gila maps, whatever it is you use. Have that in your phone, have that in there, and I recommend you have some paper maps also. Well, that's my video on the PACE plan. I hope that helps you. I think it works great for hunting. It works great for most things. I used the military for many years, and it worked great for me. And I hope that helps you. Thanks.